Closed captioning for Lakeland Currents is supported by the Minnesota Department of Commerce, Telecommunications Access Minnesota, and Nisswa Tax Service. Nisswa Tax Service, tax preparation for businesses and individuals. Across from City Hall in Nisswa and online at nisswatax.com.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Lakeland Currents. And as you can see from our opening shot, this program is going to the dogs. It's been said that these animals are our best friends, and I think that after our program tonight, you're going to find out they are not only friends, they're doing absolutely amazing things with people who are unhealthy and people who have disabilities and all kinds of things. And it's just going to be, I think, an amazing program. But before I actually start the show, there's two people I'd really like to recognize as we enter into our 2010 season. And one is Dave Henschke, who is our program director. You don't see him on camera, but Dave teaches everything related to television at the Brainerd High School. And it is he and his students who are here running our studio on the Brainerd site. And without them, we would be in a long, dark hole. So I thank David and all of his students who are here every night making our program possible. The other person I'd like to thank is Annie Cook, who is a transplant from Florida. And you might wonder what she's doing here on nights like this. But she takes time out of her busy news schedule to do the segments for our show every night, and we appreciate that very much. And we're going to start with a segment on therapy dogs with Annie.
Kind of like Snoopy. The people's faces light up when you're walking around with the dogs and letting them pet them and having a lot of fun with them.
That's the reaction therapy dogs bring to the people they visit. For Brenda Jones and Snoop, they've been doing this for nearly 3 years.
Snoop is the first therapy dog that I've had, and I just noticed that he was really good with people, and through Hart, I discovered that they were forming a therapy dog group.
The result was the Therapy Dog Connection, a group of around 30 pairs of owners and their dogs that visit with children, hospital patients, and residents of homes like Edgewood Vista.
Once a month we do the Young at Heart program at Hart. And at Young at Heart, he just wanders around the room, interacts with the kids. Generally, if there's kids there that are scared of him by the end of the program, they're petting them and having a good time with them.
Quincy here is cute enough and friendly enough to be a therapy dog, but he hasn't gone through the proper training. Therapy dogs need to have behavioral classes and basic obedience training. And then they also need some additional classes to learn how to deal with wheelchairs, loud children, things that they might encounter at the workplace.
And it doesn't take a special breed to become a therapy dog.
It can be any dog. It can be a Heinz 57 or a purebred. They just have to love meeting people and enjoy being out and about.
And with this form of therapy, it's a benefit for both parties involved. For Lakeland News at 10, I'm Annie Cook.
Well, my guests this evening are involved with the Hearing and Service Dogs of Minnesota, an organization that I believe started in about 1987 and has done wonderful things for people with special needs. Jean Eitenier, am I saying that close to right, Jean?
Yes.
Okay, Jean is here with her dog, Lexi, who I believe has been with you now for 3 years and 2 years, and she is a hearing special dog. She does special things for hearing impaired people.
Well, she is a hearing assistance dog.
A hearing assistance dog.
Yes.
And also I'd like to welcome Dr. Deb McKay, who is a veterinarian from the Crosby area. Actually, I think you said you actually work out of your home, travel around and work out of your home as a veterinarian. And you have a 6-month-old puppy with you this evening. And you are new to the program. It's your first dog that you're training, and we'll get back to you in a minute and talk about what it is you do and why you got interested in doing this. But maybe we could start out with you, Jean. I know you're a veteran in the program and a veteran with the particular state program. Tell us about yourself and how you got involved in this.
Okay, well, my hearing loss began at an early age, and I lost my hearing gradually due to colds and ear infections. Currently, I have a 95% hearing loss. And so I'm fairly used to it, and that's one of the reasons I function as well as I do. And I have a love for dogs, and so I got to thinking, if I'm going to have any dog, why not get more out of a dog by getting a hearing assistance dog? Because you pay the same, for veterinarian bills, food, all that stuff that requires to keep a dog happy and healthy. So I did some research online when I lived in Texas for a hearing assistance dog. During my research, I learned that I could I would have to travel 400 miles from where I lived, stay there for 7 weeks, and pay thousands of dollars just for the dog alone. I didn't have that kind of financial resources. However, I did have the means to keep a dog happy and healthy. So after my mother passed away, I decided to return to Minnesota. In the process of moving back, I did some research again online for a hearing assistance dog in Minnesota. During my research online, that's when I found and become aware of hearing and service dogs in Minnesota. I was in tears to know that I could possibly make a dream come true by getting a hearing assistance dog. So that's where this all started. So I put in my application and so forth, and it took about a year before the whole process got started, before Lexi and I actually got together. And then we went through 16 weeks of training where I had a trainer come to my home. And
So you were training as well as the dog through this whole period?
took place in our home. Yes, and so that's one of the biggest bonuses I really enjoyed. It's not that I couldn't afford to travel a short distance, for several hours, but, to stay there for several weeks at a location, pay for all the food and everything needed, and the idea of paying more than $1,000 for a dog, in my mind's eye, I just can't see it.
Now, was the trainer that came to your home and worked with you and your dog, was that a volunteer trainer, or is that a person that gets paid to do that?
I believe she was paid to do
Okay.
that in this particular case, because
Okay.
they do, I think it's kind of a combination of both, part volunteering, part paid.
And I should point out that you have not drugged your dog. She is just this calm, isn't she? She is
Yes.
very, very much in control.
Right.
And what breed is she?
She is a Jack Russell Terrier Beagle mix.
A terrier, a Jack Russell Terrier, and
Jack
a Beagle
Russell Terrier,
mix.
yes.
Wow, she's very calm. And you said she's about 3 years old?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so you went through this 16-week program. What are some of the things that you were trained with your dog during that 16 weeks?
Well, one of the first things we started was touch for treat. Basically, I would say, Lexi, touch. And then if she did, I would give her a treat. And then we moved up to the alarm clock, where I would set the alarm clock for 2 minutes, and it would go off in 2 minutes, and I would lay in bed. And then I would say, Lexi, touch, when the alarm clock went off. And eventually, I stopped saying, and I'd give her a treat. Eventually, I stopped saying touch. And so therefore, she started to recognize that when that sound is made, I'm going to get a treat, and I'm supposed to touch her. So once we got that sound rolling, we moved on to where somebody knocked on the door. Like the trainer would come home and knock on the door and give her a treat and so forth, and she learned that sound. She is very smart, and I'm lucky that she picked up very quickly on that.
So anytime someone knocks at the door, she knows to come and get you.
Yeah, she knows to come and touch me, and I
touch
say,
you.
what? And I follow her to the source of the sound.
So will she take you to the source of the sound every time?
Pretty much, yes.
Wow.
Of course, it's not absolutely perfect.
If the radio comes
Right.
on unexpectedly or something, I
Well,
suppose.
she's not trained to.
Right,
But,
right.
For door knocking, intruders, fire alarms, my alarm clock, and telephone. She's trained to alert me to the telephone.
Okay.
We had to learn 5 sounds during training. That was their requirement, the program's
Okay.
requirement.
And when the trainer left, did they give you some skills that you can keep training more? Or is it pretty well, when they left, that's kind of what you do?
Well, basically, yes. But the training kind of eased up at that point once we had our certification, because we went to a local store and we had to pass our public access test. And then that's when we officially became certified, where she had to learn how to leave things alone, and not eliminate in public, inside public places
Right.
and things like that.
Right.
In Lexi's case, she basically was donated into the program and went into foster care. So when she was like 4 months old, 6 months old, that's when they was teaching her how to sit, stay, and be housebroken. And then after that, just about a year is when we got together and started working on the training for sounds.
Dr. McKay, how long have you actually been in the program now? I know this is your first pup.
Since the middle of October.
Middle of October. And what kind of a dog do you have?
She is a black lab.
Registered?
I
Or
think
possibly?
she has the ability to be registered, but I'm not sure if Hearing and Service Dogs of Minnesota has registered her.
And what is it you do with her when you start this program?
Well, we do the basic obedience. We're working on that. And we also socialize her both out in the public and with friends and family, bringing her to different places. We do bring her to classes at the Hearing and Service Dogs organization in Minneapolis twice a month. And there's outings that they arrange as well.
And how many people are doing what you do? How many other people are training puppies?
Well, last night at class, there were probably about 25 people, all with puppies, but this is just part of the total number. So I can't give you the whole estimate.
But there's I guess the bottom line is there is a number of people who are involved doing this.
There are many volunteers.
And
yes.
did you get any special kind of training yourself before you actually worked with the dog, or is that something that you do when you go to your meetings?
We learn at the meetings, and we do the basic obedience classes outside of the Hearing and Service Dogs. Yes.
She wants to talk to you. Aha, she's got it figured out, doesn't she? So you said, I think she's about 6 months old?
She's 6.5 months old.
6.5 months old. And how long will you have her?
We will have her until she's anywhere between 16 and 18 months of age.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. And then that'll be a sad parting, won't it?
It sure will be.
And do you have other dogs at home?
We have 2 other dogs and 1 cat.
And when you're through at the 18 months, how do they determine where this dog will go?
She will be evaluated by people very skilled in that at the Hearing and Service Dogs of Minnesota. Actually, she'll be evaluated in different steps all along the line while we'll still have her. And that evaluation will determine where she will be placed and what type of living environment as well. The Hearing and Service Dogs organization places their dogs free of charge with people with hearing loss, but also people with physical disabilities, and they need the dog to pick things up for them, open doors, open drawers, help take their clothes off. They've also
Really? They can help take their clothes off too?
They learn to tug, and
Wow.
she has learned some tugging by opening drawers at home. I'm hoping she doesn't teach her other dogs how to open the refrigerator.
So do you have to have, I suppose, special straps on the doors so that they have something to grab onto when you do this particular kind of program?
Ropes.
Ropes? Mm-hmm. And I would guess that it's pretty important to sort of have the dog's personality matching up with the person who's going to take it. I mean, is there compatibility issues there?
Yes, I believe, I haven't been through that process, but yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jean.
What they did with me is they did a home interview first, and they took a look at the environment that I live in, and they evaluated that, and then they asked me what kind of dog I wanted. Well, if I wanted a big dog, a small dog, so forth. I chose a dog this size because it works best for me. And then they asked me what do I wanted a dog for, things like that. What do I want a dog to do, So then they took that information back to the office, and they kind of matched up with what they had at the time, And when I went to meet her in Minneapolis, when I actually got to first meet Lexi in Minneapolis at their office, it's not like they lined up the dogs and let me see, this one, or showed me pictures of the dog. They basically brought her into their room, and we interacted for a few minutes, and I decided, yeah, we'll be a good match. And they allowed me to give her a try.
Wow.
So.
And then I suppose if you take them home and you don't feel like it's a good fit, you could bring it back.
I think so, yes.
It
depends on the reason.
Right. Right.
They don't want to waste too much time with the dog, or let you be too picky, so to speak.
Well, what are some of the other things that the dogs are trained to do? I mean, I know that I think that it's spreading what these dogs do. What are some of the areas that they're being trained to do?
Some of the programs that Hearing and Service Dogs in Minnesota currently has is a seizure alert program. They have a diabetic assist program.
Diabetic?
Yes. And they also have an autism assist program currently. The autism assist program is their newest, and that is where with a young child with autism has a tendency to bolt okay? They have a tendency to bolt and run, and some things are just simple task of going to a grocery store. It can be very overstimulating for them.
So is this a particular age, or is it just anyone, usually younger children, or
yes,
is it, okay.
Right, they have a preference for those like between, I would say, 4 and 11.
4 and 11 with autism.
Yeah,
Okay.
4 and 11. And what they'll do is they will have a special kind of leash that goes from the dog, and the child will wear that leash around the belt. Then the adult will have another leash. So the adult is actually responsible for the dog and the child. But that belt, that tethering between the dog and the child prevents the child from bolting off. Plus, just having the dog there can help the child calm down. And temper tantrums don't last as long. And I've had the first, I was privileged enough to go through graduation with the first 3 autism assist teams. So I have seen the enormous change that has happened, you know, when they get these dogs, and how much they really do love these dogs, these kids.
Sure.
You know.
And you said seizure is another area where the dogs are trained.
Seizure.
And how do they work with people who have seizures? What is it that they're trained to do?
Well, basically, if as I understand it, is if a person has a seizure, they're not necessarily trained to alert that a seizure is coming on, but after they wake up, they're trained to get the phone, because usually a person after they have a seizure is kind of weak, maybe a little disoriented, could be, and that way they can say, get me the phone. And they'll have a phone that's specially placed on the ground for the dog that's easy to reach, like a cordless phone. And the dog will go get that phone and bring it to the person, where the person call 911 or family members to help. You know.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know there is a prison program, I believe, where they're actually training inmates to become trainers. Would either of you want to just mention a little bit about that?
That is known as the Faribault prison.
Faribault?
Yeah.
And is that the only location where it's being done?
That I know with this program.
Okay.
With this program. It may be others, but I don't know. Anyway, what they do is they take in puppies, and the inmates train the dogs with basic obedience commands. And they train for so long, and then the dog moves on to the owner.
That must be good for the inmates, but I'm guessing they develop friendships there that are kind of hard to separate, as all people do who have a love for dogs.
Right. It gives a person who happens to be incarcerated a sense of accomplishment, you know, gives them a sense of responsibility, you know, and gives them a sense of purpose, you know,
Sure.
a new purpose, a new direction in
Sure.
life. It helps as a stepping stone for them.
Wow.
You know.
Dr. McKay, you've been around animals as a veterinarian, obviously, of course, but have you learned things that you didn't realize that animals could do going through this program?
I've been amazed at how quickly they can learn. In a session of 10 minutes, they can learn how to do the touch activity that Jean was mentioning earlier. And it's just amazing. Of course, that has to be reinforced. I've also been astounded by the number of people involved in this, and just how devoted and passionate they are about it.
I know that when, I suppose I would guess there's a waiting list to get an animal, because I'm sure there's probably more need than there are animals to deal with that. But you mentioned that it's the animals don't cost. If you qualify for the program and you can get a dog, you don't have to pay for it. How does the organization pay for these dogs?
Well, they have several fundraisers, like the Heal and Will event that takes place every September.
Heal and Wheel event?
Heal and Will event, yes.
And that's in the metropolitan area, you
yes,
said?
in St. Paul at Lakeland.
And I forgot to say that you're from St. Cloud, and you actually work there. And I was going to ask you, do you take your dog with you to work then, every day?
Well, currently I work at McDonald's, so it's not a very appropriate environment for her. And I also work with the kids there at McDonald's, and so it would kind of scare the kids.
Okay.
So I'm currently looking for another kind of job that would be more appropriate for us to go to work together.
Right.
You know, other than that, we're not separated.
Okay.
So.
Wow. So you were saying then that you have fundraisers that raise the money, and,
Yes.
and so those fundraisers help pay for
The training.
The training, because you get a lot of the dogs come out of pounds, don't they? I mean, where they're just
Right.
young puppies that have not been wanted by someone. And you said it doesn't matter what the breed is, that all trainable dogs. Not all dogs, I suppose, are trainable for this program, but it doesn't really matter if it's a Labrador or a Beagle or whatever. If they have the right personality and temperament, they can be trained for this.
Yeah.
The organization may even take someone's personal pet and see if they have the right temperament to be trained for their specific needs.
And what is the process that a person has to go through that it might be watching the program tonight and might want to, make an application for a dog? How do they go about doing that?
Okay, basically for me is I got the application first and I filled it out. I had to also submit medical records to prove that I have a medical need that would benefit me to have a dog. Okay, then once my medical records were submitted and I had a doctor fill out a form that yes, I would state that yes, I would benefit from having a hearing assistance dog, I submitted that, and then like I said, they reviewed my application and so forth and took a look at it and came to a home visit. And that's when they determined what kind of dog I would want, what kind of dog would most benefit from my need and my lifestyle, my energy level, and so forth. Because some people have a very high energy level, they're very active, well, therefore you would want an active dog. Well, if you have a very low active lifestyle, you'd want a dog that prefers to be less active.
Now, you said you have some funny things to talk about, Lexi, maybe about her birthday. What was that you were going to say?
We have a custom in our, what I do every year for her birthday, basically, is get her a can of dog food. Because pretty much on an average day, she will get dry dog food. But on her birthday, that's a special treat. So I'll take a can of dog food, and then for each year that she is old, I put a Milk-Bone DOS biscuit in. So, it's like a birthday cake for her.
Okay.
So it's like a birthday cake for her.
So she's up to her third one.
Yes.
Yeah, 3 years old.
So it's just so much fun, with her. My life has changed completely. I get to meet people and have opportunities like this. It's wonderful, So.
Now, every year we hear about things that dogs have done to save people. And there was an article last week, a national news article, that an 11-year-old boy was saved from a cougar by a dog. And it's just not uncommon, dogs warning people if a house is on fire. I mean, I think it just really is amazing. And it seems to me that this program that you're involved with is almost kind of on the cutting edge of doing new things with animals. Is that just my outside view, or do you think that's true, that you're just finding new ways that dogs can work with people?
All the time. And the autism program is evident of that, because that's a very new program with the Hearing and Service Dogs of Minnesota.
And I think, and I know they're using dogs to determine cancer in people by smell. It's just, I think it's just amazing what these animals. I don't know that we've probably underestimated what they are able to learn as trainers, haven't we?
With the diabetic dog assistance dogs in the program, what they do is smell the diabetic person's breath, and they can tell if the blood sugar is dropping too low.
No kidding.
And then alert that person to it so the person can eat something to help themselves.
Wow, how do they ever decide that? That's amazing.
Well, I think it came about by chance, by someone who had a dog and discovered that happened.
So now they actually train dogs so that they can smell their breath and determine if they are low blood sugar. And a lot of bad things can happen when you have low blood sugar.
Correct.
And wow, that's just amazing. And what are some of the other areas that is there anything we haven't talked about that the dogs are doing, service dogs? Any other particular area?
Let's see, I think we've covered a lot of it.
Well, how do people, if they have a computer, obviously they can go to the website, which is HDS, which is Hearing Service Dogs of Minnesota, hsdm.org. But what if they don't have a computer and they want to get a hold of somebody in the organization? What is it that they need to do? How would they do that?
Well, they can phone them.
Okay.
They can phone them, or otherwise they can look up the address and communicate by mail. They can do that.
So those would be the two main things. And
Yeah.
if someone is interested in being a puppy trainer, they would contact the organization?
Yes.
The state organization. And are there any requirements for being a trainer?
They will ask to interview you as well and see your home environment, see what it's like and whether it's conducive to having a dog there and what size dog. If you have any restrictions as far as requiring a non-shedding dog, that's possible as well. If there are children, if there are other pets in the household. The person who interviewed me, the couple who did that, they brought along a puppy in training and wanted to check out how our personal pets would react to that puppy. Fortunately, we passed.
So it's really like a family interacting with a family, and they want to make sure that's a good fit.
Yes.
Have you found this to be rewarding?
Oh, very rewarding. Whenever I take her out in public, people ask me about her, and they just love to know more and more about the organization and what
And
the
do you
training
keep that
involves.
the little coat on her all the time so you can sort of help promote the organization, or is that just?
She has that coat on when she is working, but at home, no, that comes off, and she's just a dog to play, unless I am trying to do some work with her at home.
So when she's gone, you will probably get another one. You haven't made that commitment. I'm not asking you to make.
Decided for sure. We'll see.
Because it's a long commitment, isn't it? You said about 14 months.
Yes.
That's a real commitment.
We'll see how sad we are when we have to give her up.
Wow. Well, it's a fascinating program, and I just give my hats off to you for doing the training, Dr. McKay. I think that's just a wonderful thing to do. And every one of these dogs has a positive impact on someone when they go out, and that's really, I think, pretty darn rewarding to know that. And you're a living testament to how positive an experience it can be. And as you said, it's changed your life, Jean, and I think that's just great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much both for being on the program tonight. It's a windy, cold night, and it was nice of you to come here and brave the elements. I think we're going to have 25 below wind chills here a little bit later on. But thank you very much, and good luck with your dog training. And Jean, thank you very much for coming. You've been watching Lakeland Currents, where we're talking about what you're talking about. Thanks for watching. I'm Ray Gildow. We'll see you the next time.